I did.
Have a seat. I gotta get my orange real quick.
Brianna.
Thank you. Quiet. Wash your mouth.
Brianna.
Josh.
Yeah, because I curse a lot in this class.
Yeah, I do.
You heard that?
I knew you, Brad. Okay. For this one, we're asked to solve for R. How would we get everything away from R? You must take divide 2 and the pi on both sides. C over 2 pi equals R.
What? I did it the other way.
Hold on.
I just choked on my orange.
Is that pi?
Yes. Is it okay?
Oh, wait, is that not the answer?
Okay. Alright, so make sure you have that written down.
Wait, what's the answer?
Oh my god. Either one of those.
Makes sense, thank you.
And then pass those up.
I got 5.
Pass them up.
Who's the money?
5 and 1.
She's great. For real.
Yes. It goes to the great. She drops the lowest score.
MJ, do you want to do it again? Appreciate it. Thank you.
I think you got it last
She didn't get.
week. So see if you have it with your stuff from Friday. Is that when we did the last on Friday? I don't remember.
No. Miss Thorpe, can you come collect, please? Thank you.
This is your husband.
Where's your wife?
You have a chance. You need a break from your
Michael. What size are you?
Huh?
What size?
7.
Weird.
I like having it on my key like that. No, I like it that way. I need it that way. Right? I need it that way so because I know it just hit me down. That's why I have it smells like orange. It was supposed to be an aspirator. What was it?
Are you a rat?
Oh, shoot.
It was an I broke it.
I was trying to. I know. I did it right. I just didn't. Yeah. No, you have to start slowly. You have to take your time.
Can do the same thing. What's the date today? The 14th.
Today.
No, I was asking like you meant today's date. The X goes left and right.
The rise.
You know how to say why?
You talking about the rise over rise?
Yeah. Which one goes up?
The Y's go up and down. The X's go left and right.
No, I mean like.
We're gonna do it. Hold on. Alright, for number 1, we have to find our slope. So just to refresh your memory, the quarter test is going to be on Unit 3, which was finding slope, graphing lines, graphing same transformations. Oh, we're gonna go back over it. Line of best fit, and then the test we just took before break. Writing the equations of lines and writing the equations of lines with parallel that are parallel and perpendicular.
So I have a question. So the quarter test like will make up any test that's any test. So I can make it up all the way to like an A. If I get an A wrong. Whoa.
Good.
Never had that before.
Alright,
Oh my
so
God, stop taking the extra
for
ones
these,
off.
we need to remember that our slope is y's over run, or our y's over our x's. So when we're looking for the slope off of the graph, we're looking for points. If there aren't any, you need to find 2 points that cross the lines exactly. And then we need to count. Does not matter if you start here and go that way, or start here and come this way. For this one, we would go down to,
You have to start going down.
it does not
Or
matter,
that was just
and write 7, making this negative 2/7. But if you started at the other point, we would go up 2 and left 7. I messed that counting up, but it would still be negative 2/7. Yes, okay.
Would we ever have to see?
Always.
Yes, I see. Of course.
Right? For number 2 and 3, really, we need to use Poibucks. Poibucks.
Horizontal.
I know. What does this tell us? What does horizontal 0, horizontal
Y-axis.
Y
Intercept.
vertical,
Oh.
vertical, and define x equals. So for number 2, is this horizontal or vertical?
That is.
It's horizontal, but what are we looking for? Slope. So this shouldn't be y equals 3. It should be a slope. What is the slope of a horizontal line? 0. 0. Yes.
Did you like invent Poibucks, or like if I looked it up on Google, would it show up?
I'm not the first person to use it. I don't know if it would show up on Google. My classroom page is searchable by Google, so maybe.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I wrote that so wrong.
Alright. For number 3, is this a horizontal or vertical line?
Vertical.
So what type of slope will it have?
Okay, Christy.
Alright, we're only going to do one of these 2. Which one do we want to do?
5.
Okay. So we need to use y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Remember that you can switch the numbers. You can do y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2 as long as the numbers in the column match up. You can't move x's to your numerator, and you can't only move 1. Label them if that helps you. And then we're going to put them into the equation. So negative 6 minus 2 over negative 1 minus negative 5. Negative 6 minus 2, 8. Negative 8. Oh. Okay. Negative 1 minus negative 5, positive 4.
Yeah.
So what would this simplify to be?
Negative 2.
Negative 2.
That's all you have to do.
Josh, are you writing this down?
Oh, no.
Why?
Josh, are you kidding me?
Seda, did I get it right that time? Okay. This was in the packet I just gave you today. Alright, this next section is just finding slope. Doesn't matter which one of these we do.
Let's do this one too.
For 6, what would our slope of this be? Negative 1/2. Just negative 1/2. The x is not part of your slope.
Oh, that's how you do it?
How is that?
So it's just whatever the x is.
That's your slope. I don't know how to get slope.
It's whatever the rise over run is. It's there's two numbers over the other. That's how you know.
Sometimes I'll say one number.
Your slope is m.
That's the slope from
This is your
What is it?
slope
in
intercept
that?
form.
What is it? Slope. Instance your slope.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know.
And we're gonna do one of these problems. We're gonna do 9 though. Alright, so could we say what the slope is without doing anything first? No. We need to solve this first. How would we put this in slope intercept form?
The x.
Subtract x to both sides. Remember that I'm switching the placement of x and 3 so that it's in slope intercept form. And then we're dividing negative 3 to each piece. What happens here?
It becomes 1 over
Just 1 over 3x and then minus 1. What is our slope?
1 over 3.
Just positive 1 over 3. Questions on any of those?
So basically, if you have, let's say x over 7, would that still be like 1/7x?
Yes. Okay. Or you could leave it as x over 7 and it would still be. Okay.
Is it always going to be just one over the number?
Or fractions like that.
Like for 9, like it's just we just added a 1 over it.
It could be something else.
Oh, I know.
What is it?
So it could be a whole number, it could be a fraction, it could be a fraction that has some number that's not 1. It depends.
How do you do 8?
Same way.
Wait, no, I thought that's fine.
You would subtract it instead of you subtract it.
For the one we could find the x-intercept and y-intercept, we do that. Canceling out
To find x and y intercepts, yes.
We can work on this all time. We can work on this.
Alright, so the next section is our graphing. Josh, have a seat. Some of these just have points. That means you plot those points, you graph the line. There's not more for you to do. So for like 10, you need to graph the x-intercept of negative 2 and the y-intercept of 3. So on your x-axis, find negative 2. On your y-axis, find 3. Make a line between those 2 points. That's literally it.
I don't remember it being this easy.
Yeah. I feel like there's gonna be some
That's
kind
how
of
that
short.
For a question like 12, it gives you 2 ordered pairs. So plot both of those sets of ordered pairs and draw a line. So for this one, go left 2, up 3. For this one, go right 4 and down 1 and connect the dots with the line. What?
So,
Wait,
I understand it.
Plot
Let's
the
start.
points, connect them with a line. Draw arrows. That's easy.
Wait, what?
Okay. Remember that each of these lines should have arrows. They keep going on forever and ever in both directions.
If you don't have arrows,
If
you
the line-
get it wrong.
If the line
That's
isn't
why some
straight,
of you did.
if the line isn't like completely straight and it's like going messy. Is it gonna be right still?
So for this one, mine's not exactly straight. It looks that way, but it's not exactly straight. It's fine. Just try to make it as straight as possible.
So it doesn't matter where like the line stops.
It doesn't stop. It keeps going on forever and ever.
When do lines stop? Teach.
They don't.
So like if I draw a straight line or not,
So when you
hard
draw
to
a straight line, so when you draw lines, yes, they have a stopping point because you can't physically draw forever and ever. But when you graph lines, it's going to keep going on forever and ever. Outside of the graph, you could keep zooming in and zooming out, and it will keep going forever and ever in both directions. They don't stop. Right, for 14, we need to graph the slope and the y-intercept. How do we start graphing this? The y-intercept. So start with the point at 4, and then we have a negative slope. What directions make negative slopes?
Down.
and left. Down and left would be 2 negatives, which make it positive. So
Down and right.
Down and right. Now, can we go the opposite, up and left?
Yes.
Yeah. But you don't have space. In this case, we don't have space, so we can't go in this case. So we can go down 2, right 1 as many times as possible.
What?
I'm so
So you went.
How are
Did you go like down 2 and then 1 to the side?
Say that
I'm a
again.
bright line.
No, you're not. Say that again.
She went down 2.
And then we have negative right 1. So what makes negative?
Wait, so do you start on the y and step 4 and then
Oh. That's what you have to do. Oh, that's easy.
oh, but you don't have to.
Oh, no.
Wait.
You just go down.
Is yours going the other way?
Wait. So how do you go? What direction did you go?
Down 2, right 1.
Why?
Because it'd be -2, but then you just like put a over 1.
Oh.
Anytime you have a whole number, assume that there's a 1 underneath to make it in fraction form. For 16, where would we start? At -1 on your y-axis. Our slope is positive. What directions can we go?
Up to right,
Or
That's it.
down to right 3.
not like
Left.
So we can go up 2 and right 3, or we could go down 2 and left 3.
Why can't you go like down to?
So we cannot go down 3 and right 2 because that's not rise over run. We have to do 2 over 3. Yes. As many as you can.
So if someone did like a minimum of like 2 or 3, would you mark it wrong?
That's up to you, right?
I mean, the graphs are probably going to be about this size. Okay. Next page. We're going to do 1 of these and then 1 of these. Which 2 do we want to do?
18 and 21.
20 and 19.
18.
19 and
18. I heard 19 and then 21. So 21 was very much like the one we did on the front page.
Wait, how do you?
For 18, you have 2 ways of doing these problems. One is to put it in slope-intercept form. So how would we put this in slope-intercept form?
you move the subtract 4x.
Subtract 4x on both sides. And then
And then
divide everything by 5.
You have to always do that.
-4/5. Or no, right here at the top. -4x plus 20.
So you like make a new equation based on?
So it's not a new equation, it's the same one, but simplified in slope intercept form.
Is that for
Full
x
simplified.
plus 10?
Not the same.
How does the 4 become negative?
You subtract it. So you could graph using your slope intercept form. Go up to positive 4. Our slope is down 4, right 5. The other way you could do this, and this way does not always work, but you could find your x and y intercepts by covering up one term and solving. So what would y equal if you covered up the x term? 4. What would your x term be if you covered up the y term? 5. In this case, these happen to fall on the same points. That won't always happen. This method does not always work because if the numbers are not divisible, you'll get fractions. For 19, how are we going to graph this? What do we need to use to graph this?
The $40.
$40. What's your question?
Basically, like for 18, all you did was like just plot the points that were next to one.
Yeah. You would make the line. You would connect the dots.
So do you have to draw that word?
You need to do one of these two things.
Like is it right?
Wait, so you don't have to do the top one, you can just do the bottom one and then plot it?
That would be fine and connect the dots. But the bottom method doesn't always work. So because this is an x equals, is this going to be a horizontal or a vertical line? Horizontal. It's going to be a vertical line. It has an undefined slope. It's a vertical line. So on your x-axis, find where x is -3 and make a vertical line.
That's simple.
For this section, we're going to go over each of these, but I need you to really be paying attention. So, to think back when we did this, we talked about shifted up, shifted down. That either affects your slope or your y-intercept. Anyone remember which one it affects?
Slope.
Y-intercept.
Y-intercept. Which means anytime it says steeper or less steep, it affects slope. So for 1 and 2, it's asking you to do two things. 1, describe what happened. Was it shifted up, shifted down? Did it become steeper, less steep? And then also, it's asking you to graph whatever the transformation was. So with this one, if it was, whatever the function was, if it was subtracted by 3, what happened? Shifted down. Really, it shifted down 3, but the 3 is not necessary. So that means we're going to take the entire function and move it down 3 points. Take a second to do that.
Because
Because it's subtracting.
adding or just shifting up.
Yes.
Not even hot. Let's see what it is. I think it is. I'm not even gonna try it.
Taking it down, we're moving the entire function down 3.
So how do you do it?
We'll get to that one in a second.
Well, you shift down from shifted down 3 from where?
The line.
The whole line got shifted down 3.
But in the very corner, you can't even go down.
So you have to
Stop
stop
this.
That's right, started at 3.
So, in this case, did your slope change?
No.
No.
Your slope did not change. Your y-intercept changed, though. It went down 3. So anytime it is shifted, your y-intercept is changing. So this is just a side note. Y-intercept changed. The slope did not.
You have to write that on the test. No. It's just to help why.
Justice confused on what? For number 2, it's saying whatever the function was, we're going to multiply it by 1/2. So if our slope was, first, what is our slope of this line? 1. So if our slope was 1, and we're multiplying it by 1/2, what's our new slope? 1 over 2. So that means I'm going to start here and go up 1, right 2, up 1, right 2, or down 1, left 2, as many times as I can. Yes. So in this case, was this shifted up or shifted down?
No. It got less.
It got less steep. And if that wording is confusing, think about sledding or skiing or whatever you do down hills. Down both of these, which one would you get down faster?
The first
The original one, yes. So because it's the original one, it's less steep.
So, I'm confused on like how you got that line.
We multiplied the slope
By 1/2.
by 1/2. So in this case, what changed? The slope. The y-intercept did not change in this case. Language. So the slope changed in this instance, not the y-intercept. Really, that's the basis of this entire thing, knowing what changed. Steepness changes your slope, shifted up or shifted down changes your y-intercept. For number 3, we are comparing these two functions. F of x equals x is your original function, that black line that's already on your graph. If we are comparing these two, was this shifted up or shifted down from this one? Shifted down. It was shifted up because of your y-intercept. So if it had a negative, it would be shifted down. Now, is this one steeper or less steep than the original? Steeper because of that 5. If it was a number less than 1, like 1/2, it would be less steep. If you aren't sure, you can also graph it.
And if it's more than 1, then it's steeper.
Which one of these would you get down faster?
The red line.
Sorry, the blue.
The blue line.
Well, you would like fly off.
Definitely steeper.
That looks like the
So it's definitely steeper.
Blacked out.
off the track.
Questions before we go to the next one? Yeah.
So if like anything like positive,
Be
or
quiet.
if like anything negative or positive is in front of the X is steeper.
The negative doesn't matter. Because if I didn't put negative in front of this, it would still be steeper.
So it doesn't matter if it's negative or not.
It does not matter if it's negative or not. If the number itself is greater than 1, it's going to be steeper. If it's less than 1, it'll be less. On number 4, we are comparing again that original to the one that's graphed. The original is not graphed, so I'm going to put it up there. You don't have to. You can if you want to. I'm just outlining this line so you can see it a little bit better online. Alright, so we are comparing in A, the slope. What is the slope of this line? The blue line? 3. 3. It's 4 over 1. So our slope is 4. What is our slope of our original line? 1 over 1. So 1. If we are comparing these two slopes, we need to figure out how do we start at 1 and get to 4. Did we add 4 to 1 to get 4? Yes. Does 1 plus 4 equal 4?
No.
Did we subtract 4 from 1 to get 4? No. Did we divide 4 from 1 to get 4?
No.
No. So we multiply. 1 times 4 is 4.
Oh. You have to rewatch it.
So anytime you are dealing with slope and steepness, you are multiplying or dividing. You shouldn't be adding and subtracting. Okay. Now B is comparing the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept of your blue line? -2. What is your y-intercept of your red line? 0. So now we are comparing how did we get from 0 to -2?
Add 2.
It's less than. We subtracted.
Oh.
So anytime we are talking about our y-intercept and shifted up or down, it's been added or subtracted. Questions on that one?
Wait, what is that? What is
A.
that? No.
The answers are A and C.
AC. Air conditioning.
For this next one, it's asking us to find our new graph if it was shifted down 2 units and it's 3 times as steep. What do those two sentences tell us? That it's
Slope
steeper.
and then
The slope and the y-intercept change. Which one is which?
the first one's wider.
This is our y-intercept, which means this is our slope. What is our new y-intercept? -2. What is our new slope? 3 over 1 or 3. Now, the actual part that you get graded on is to find the 2 points on this graph or on your new graph that these apply to. What would one of these points be? As it ordered here. 0, -2. That would be your y-intercept. What would another point be? 1 and 1. that would be you going up 3, right 1. What if you went down 3 and left 1? What would that point be? You went down 3 and left 1. But you only need 2 points. So any set of 2 points, as long as it fits the patterns. Questions about that one? Before we start this next one, does anyone want an iPad to do line of best fit? Just keep your hand raised.
Line of best fit kind of heavy. No, it's on the. Oh, on the.
Can we use those on the test?
The iPad, yes, but just for that section.
Are we gonna be able to use those on the dog? Like that's okay.
Oh, Josh, will you?
Oh my god.
No,
not you. Like,
Bro, you see how she stopped today?
and then he was up
I got a question.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Wonder if that's something sad. No. I'm such a child. I don't know how.
Once you have your iPad, go into
I never got one.
test mode, Desmos.
Thank you.
No.
Soren, what? You think you're Spider-Man?
Oh my god, I need that with the teacher app.
Huh?
The teacher app.
Oh, yeah.
Shut up, it's not fun. I forgot one. I said that one.
Yeah, this whole demo.
Yes, my husband told me
Alright, I am going to do both on the calculator and on Desmos, so pay attention to which one you need.
Both.
For Desmos, first we need to decide which one are we doing. We're not doing both examples. We could do the top one or the bottom one. Okay, I heard top first.
What?
The bottom one. We're gonna do the top one first. We're gonna do the top one. So on Desmos, go into the plus, add a table. Good start. graphing. Hit start.
No, you don't have to.
Start test.
Once you have hit plus and you have a table, you're going to put the age in months in X and put your weight in Y. So you guys should be doing this.
Wait, didn't you say that it had to? When we were learning this, you said something that I forgot.
I was looking for my extra copy of this, but I don't know what it is.
I think I already did that, but you put this. Where? Go sit down. Bye, Michael.
On your calculator, because fourth period may have done a different problem, reset your calculator really fast. Second plus 712.
Where are you? We doing it on the right?
I'm doing it on both. Go into stat on your calculator. Edit is the first one.
What's that?
Stat is right next to the arrows.
What if I'm dumping in the table?
If you remember the next steps, you can move on. Otherwise, just stay with me for a second. In your calculator, you're going to put your age in months in L1 and your weight in L2.
You forgot 21.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
I hit the wrong thing.
Wow.
Sorry.
It's recording?
Can you edit that part out?
Relax. Relax. I can edit that part out.
Show all of our personal information.
Next door.
My phone is so shiny.
Address. Next door, Sandy.
Who would turn it off?
Turn it up.
Go to table.
And then
you're back to the math table.
I forgot how to get Miss Thorpe, can I go to the bathroom?
Hold on, because we're about to do that. Alright, after you have your table in Desmos or in your calculator, I'm going to do it on Desmos first, then go back on the calculator.
Wait, how did you get to, like, the table? How did it create
Stat
table?
edit.
Stat edit, okay, thank you.
In Desmos, you're going to type the following. Y1, you need your tilde. So you have to go into your drawer, go into ABC, find this symbol,
Oh, yeah, I see.
M, X1 plus B. So you need to type that in
Oh, I remember.
to
it was
Desmos.
Where's the squigggle line at?
If you're in your keypad, you have to go to ABC.
Miss Thorpe, I remember I used to be so good at this. You remember those days? Well, I actually did something.
Is that B2
Never
or
did.
B1?
B is just B.
Miss Thorpe, you remember those days?
Alright, then we hit plot.
What days?
No.
Bro, stop playing with me.
Right?
Those
On your calculator, you're going to go back into stat, scroll over to calculate, and then go down to number 4, your linear regression. Stat, calculate number 4. And then we are going to go down to store regression equation. Press alpha trace and store it into one of those equations. It doesn't matter which ones. And then calculate. We should get the same numbers in both of these. Okay. So if it specifically tells you to round, you need to round. If it doesn't, then you have a choice with your equation.
Miss Thor.
You can either round. You can either round to 1 decimal place. You can keep all of your decimals. It does not matter. I would round to at least 1 though. Stat, edit, or stat, calculate. So I'm going to use at least 1 decimal and round this to 0.7 and then 9.3.
What do I do?
Stat, calculate, report. So make sure you have that actually written down on your paper. 0.7x plus 9.3. So this one doesn't tell you to, so you have a choice. You can either round it or keep all of your decimals. But you need to use at least 1 decimal.
Miss Thorpe, how are teachers allowed to take our phones? Like,
We're not getting into that right now.
Yeah, that was
Do I click
random.
enter 2 times?
That was really random.
Alright. Next, on Desmos, once you have that equation, you are going to type that into the next line. Y equals 0.7x, except I made that a fraction, plus 9.3. And then go into your settings wheel, and there should be a table next to your equation. Hit that table.
Wait, what did we do? 0.7.
Type in the equation, go to your settings wheel, hit the table.
We're solving for
No, Miss Thorpe, you remember when I was actually good at this? Bro, let me get my win.
It would be a win if you were still good at it on the test. So let's stop. That wasn't a diss. That was me.
Yeah.
He needs to still be good. Alright, on your
Scratching my
calculator.
chest.
it's so
On your calculator, in y equals, it saves your equation for you. So you can either use that equation if you use all of your decimals, or you can change it to what we just put in, 0.7x plus 9.3.
Hold on, pay attention.
I probably wouldn't try to do both at the same time.
You don't have to just whichever
Somebody
one.
asked you, Joshua.
Wow. Wow. Miss Thorpe, that's not nice.
That's not very nice.
Alright, in Desmos, because we're looking for the weight of a 30-month-old boy, we're going to put 30 in for X.
So what different though, teacher? What different
And the answer we got is 30.3. Now, if we're looking for weight, can weight be decimals?
Yes.
Yes. So we can leave this as a decimal. For these answers, if it does not say to round, don't round your answers. Now, if it's realistic, like they're talking about people or animals, you can't have decimals of people and animals, then round. So 30.3 is your answer to the weight of a 30-month-old boy.
Wait.
Did you use the exact equation? Did you use 0.7? That's what. it didn't say 2, so if you use the actual, that's okay. It'll be different. Now, for the weight of a 4-year-old boy, we need to convert that 4 to months. How many months is that? 48. So if you get a problem like this, somewhere on your paper, just write 4 times 12. That's how you got 48. I didn't do this on the calculator, so I'm going to do this one on the calculator. If you're using your calculator and you go into your table, you can either scroll all the way down to get to the number you need, or you can go into second window, change that number to whatever you need. So in this case, we need 48. Go back to your table, and whatever that y value is now your answer, 42.9. If you're using Desmos, you would just put that number into your table. But 42, the one we just had. That one. You would put it into that one. I forgot what it was. 42.9. Now, if it does not say to round, and you did not round this equation, let's say you use all the decimals, or you use that entire equation in your calculator, your answers are going to be a little different. That's okay. Okay, so this will be the last section of the quarter test. So if you want an iPad when you get to this, you would need to raise your hand and let me know at that point, after you had finished everything else. If you still have your tip sheet from that test, you can use that. Otherwise, I will have copies of that. Okay. We need to try and get through this as quickly as possible. Next section, writing equations of lines. So let's do one of these and one of these. No, just put the iPads on your desk.
Oh, crap. I'm sorry. What?
Let's do 1 and 4. For 1, it's a slant, so this needs to have a y equals, bless you. We need to find our slope. What is our slope of this one?
It's 2 over 1.
I'm not sure it is.
It's just 2.
5 over 3. 5 over 3.
Oh, that's second.
No. What is your y-intercept? 1. Positive 1, so plus 1. So y equals 5/3 x plus 1. That's it? That's it. In order to write your equations for 3 and 4, what do you need? Poivus. If I don't see that at least once on your test, I'm not sure if you're going to do it right.
What, if the lettering?
The lettering. It was a joke. For this one, is that a horizontal or a vertical line?
It's horizontal.
It's horizontal. That way. This is horizontal. So if it's a horizontal, is that y equals or x equals? Y equals. What number does y equal? 1.
What? I got it right.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Actually not.
You're not.
Wow, really?
You think anybody would know?
In this class? No.
In general.
In general, yes. I don't have one.
Why do you say my husband?
He's not my student.
Exactly. Favorite student.
Oh.
He's your favorite?
I wasn't talking about
I know who.
You just watch these videos? How dare you?
No, I just
Sorry, Mr. Husband, if you're listening. You're cool, dude.
I was going to ask.
Okay, let's do at least one of each of these. Do we want to do one of these or this one for this top section?
Let's do 5.
Okay. And then pick one of these.
9.
Okay.
9,
So
9, 9.
for 5, we have an ordered pair, so that means we have X, we have Y. We are given M. We need to find B, because we need to put this in this format. So put in all the numbers that you have. 3 equals 1/2 times 2 plus B. 1/2 times 2 is what?
1.
It's 1. What would the value of B be? Positive 2. You would subtract 1 from both sides. But that's not your answer. Your answer needs to be an equation. What's your equation?
1/2
equals
y equals 1/2
Plus 2. X plus 2. Don't forget your x's and y's. No. Once you have your y-intercept, all you need number-wise are your slope and y-intercept.
Is that last test we took on couldn't be important today?
Say that one more time.
The last test we took before break.
That's this.
Yep, that's what I thought.
Really fast, because I know there were Khan Academies like these. If it has a slope of 0, what type of line is that going to be?
Y.
Horizontal. It's going to be a y equals. Well, what does y equal?
Y equals horizontal and
Look in the order pair. What does y equal?
9.
9.
Oh.
So that would be the answer.
I don't know what you're asking about.
Wait, the next one is actually.
What problem before?
6. That's what
The next one actually is -2.
Yes.
I'm just playing.
For number 9, we are given 2 points. That means we need to find the slope and the y-intercept. So we need to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 first, and then we'll get to that next part. Label them if it helps. Put it into that format. So 0 minus -2 over 4 minus -4. What is our slope?
I'm 2 over 8.
Which simplifies to,
Already.
what does that simplify to?
4.
1 over 4.
I got a question. Wait, so isn't the 0 the fraction be undefined?
It depends on where it is. If it's in your numerator, no. If it's in your denominator, yes.
It's on top of it.
whoa,
Because what are the other equations? What are the other equations?
Hold on.
0.
Let me get through this. Alright, now that we have our slope, we're going to do exactly what we just did. Pick one of these 2 points. I'm going to use this one. And put those into y equals mx plus b. So y is 0. Slope is 1/4. X is 4. We're looking for b. It would not matter if you chose the other point. What is 1/4 times 4?
Oh, 1.
1. What is the value of b? -1. But that is not your answer. Your answer needs to be an equation. What is your equation?
Y equals 1
Minus 1.
We have to solve that.
You have to write it in an equation.
So we have to do this in
Somewhat. Last section. Writing the equations of lines from parallel and perpendicular lines that are parallel and perpendicular. So we need to remember, what do we know about parallel lines?
That they go, they're always,
They never
always
touch.
equal in length.
They never intersect. What else?
They go in the
They're
same
straight.
Correct. What else?
The slope is the same.
The slopes are the same and the y-intercept is different.
What was B on the last?
-1. What do we know about perpendicular lines?
Opposite.
Same slope. Negative reciprocals. Parallel lines have the same slope, not perpendicular lines. This is really soft. I'm sorry. Negative reciprocals.
What these slopes look? Oh, same.
No, it's the same slope. Yes. Today? Thursday?
Wait, we had it on Thursday?
I love it.
Yes, so it's confusing.
After Wednesday. Right there.
Let's try to tomorrow Thursday, yeah.
We can have
Okay, let's do one of these.
One.
What does that say?
The first one.
Negative reciprocals. Okay, I do one.
What?
Negative, I shortened it, NEG.
No, it's like a map.
Say that. Oh. Yes. Okay, so now that we know, or we have to know parallel and perpendicular lines, we have to figure out, are these parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So we have to find the slope of these lines. So we're going to do that twice. Find the slope of AB, find the slope of CD. For AB, that would be 2 minus -4 over 18 minus -6. What is our slope for this? Six over 18 minus -6. 24. Can this be simplified?
Yes.
To 112.
4. My bad.
And then for CD, -4 minus 8 over 10 minus 7. Well, 10 minus 7 is 3. -4 minus 8. -12. Can this be simplified?
Yes.
To what? -4. Are these parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Neither. Neither. Perpendicular, because they are negative reciprocals. One is negative, one is positive, and then they are reciprocals of each other. Remember that the symbol for perpendicular is the upside down T.
Yes.
T.
But we always have to do that.
No, but it may show up, so I'm just writing it just in case.
What's the sign? Oh, no.
We're not done.
It's so hard. Wait, so on the quarter test, you do better on like one test thing than you replace that. It's too hard.
Alright. I want to at least get through one more. If we can get through 2 more, great. after all. Okay, we're gonna do number 7. If we finish and have at least 5 minutes, we'll do the other one. But if not, then you'll have even more to do. Alright, listen. For these types of problems, you are finding a new equation that is parallel or perpendicular to whatever they give you. In this case, we have to solve this, put it in slope-intercept form first. How would we do that?
Plus x on this side.
Add x on both sides, and then
Divide
divide everything by 3. So if I divide this by 3, what will this become? 1/3 x, or you could leave it as x over 3, it doesn't matter. That is not your answer though. That just helps you determine your slope for this original equation. We need to find a new equation that is perpendicular to this one. So what would our new slope be if it's perpendicular? -3/1 or just -3? I mean, we're not done. We're given a point and we're given slope. So now we're going to go back and write our equation of our line. 2 equals -3 times -5 plus b. -3 times -5 is what? 15. Positive 15. What would the value of b be? -13. But that is not your final answer. I will walk it, yes. What is your equation? Sorry.
Y equals y over 3, -1 over 3x.
That's not your new slope.
-13.
-3.
-3x minus 13. So you have to use your new slope, not your old one. Olivia is the last person going to the bathroom, just so we're all aware. Just so you have memory of doing at least one of these with me, I'm going to start one of the parallel ones and then we'll be done. I'm going to scroll up. For number 5, same process, except now we're looking for parallel. We need to solve this equation first. How would we do that? Subtract 3x on both sides. And then divide -2 to everything. So when we divide it here, the negatives just cancel. That is not your answer, but it is going to help you find your slope. If we need to find a new equation that is parallel to this one, what will our new slope be?
3/2.
3/2 is actually going to be the same. Now we have a point and a slope, and we need to put those together. 4 equals 3/2 times -3 plus b. 3/2 times -3. What is that? It's okay. You can still say it. -4.5 or -9/2. what is the value of b? 4.5. Multiplying, you would get negative 9 over 2 or negative 4.5. Go ahead, Navina. So you should be adding 4.5 to both sides. 8.5.
Oh, wait, what's the offset?
So remember, that's not your final equation or your final answer. What's your equation?
Y
B over 2x plus 8.5.
Right? Now listen very, very closely and clearly. The rest of these problems you now have to finish.
Homework.
Okay, it is also. You need to finish by the next time I see you, because then it is due.
What about our previous one?
The homework?
Wait, at least
Alright, but listen. If you did not take the Unit 4 test, you need to come see me today or tomorrow morning. Otherwise,